Abraham, by the way, says, "Oh, you called it. You said Jimmy would be out soon." Let me tell you something, bro. If they were listening to me, they would have traded him last year. Okay, just like if the Dolphins were listening to me, they would have traded X 3 years ago, right after the 10 interceptions, when I said now's the time to trade him. And then they got 7 interceptions the next 3 years. You got to know when to get off the gravy train at times. That's where I give Belichick a lot of props. That he did that many times. He knew when the bottom was falling out, and he got out before the bottom fell out. And you got to do that with these players. And the Heat have hung on a little too long for Jimmy, just like the Dolphins hung on a little too long with X-Man. All right. How you doing, my man? You doing good?
I'm doing well. I wish our last segment would have been a few minutes later, like an hour later. We would have had the Odell Beckham news to talk about.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, I'm good with it. It is what it is. I kind of expected that this thing would happen because he didn't really have a lot of competition. And I think this situation for him was really, really sexy. The deal ended up becoming another steal by Chris Greer, dude. Total steal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, 3 million base and then up to 8.25 billion. And we were talking about, okay, he won't see anywhere near the 15 million he earned last year. And then you cut that in half at the high end of it. So if he hits all the incentives that are there, yeah, that's a great deal for a number 3 wide receiver, a guy who obviously has his star power, but hasn't produced that way since 2019, 2016 last Pro Bowl. I mean, he's going to be a great fit into this offense. And sure, not the big bodied receiver that I think some people want, but it's really a guy that Mike McDaniel can work well into his offense. And I think he clearly has a type. He clearly has a type because it's Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Odell Beckham. The 2 receivers they drafted are 5'10" and like 5'8". I think one of them is even. So smaller guys, and I think it's going to work well. It's going to be a good marriage for what the Dolphins need for our number 3 receiver.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. It definitely is a perfect fit overall, and I think it puts him in a position where he can complement instead of be a lead guy, which is not what he is, anymore. So to me, this thing made a ton of sense to make the move, and especially fiscally. Oh, man, are you kidding me? That's the one that really makes a lot of sense. So let me ask. Go ahead.
Well, you continue to preserve those 2025 comp picks, so you still have those 2 3s, and I think right now they still slotted to get a 7th as well, even with this, and then the complementing is the big thing. It's that he can open up things for Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, but then also their presence will open up things for him. There's just not many ways that defenses can go at it by stopping all of them, and then you throw in Jonnu Smith into the mix this offseason as well. So Mike McDaniel is going to be having a lot of fun with all the options he has at his disposal.
Yeah, I'm with you there. What'd you think of the Tyreek video about talking about he wants to finish his career as a Dolphin?
Yeah, we've talked about on the show that it depends how many years he wants to still go. If we start tying things together, like he said last year, 10 years is sort of his goal. Then all right, now we're getting to all right, this would be year 9, and then maybe if they stick with him for another year, then he could reach that. But if he wants to keep playing beyond that, and we've talked about how maybe the Dolphins, with all the off the field issues that Tyreek Hill has presented, with just the fact that they did not restructure his deal this offseason, then is sort of are the hints starting to line up that all right, we're not really going beyond what we need to go with Tyreek Hill. Now, if he behaves over the next year or so and continues to produce at this extremely high level, leading the league in receiving yards, 1799 this year, going for 2K, although we know that kind of maybe doesn't fit into the whole team plan. But if he continues to produce at that level and he starts to comport himself the way he should off the field, stay out of trouble, then maybe some things could be looked at differently. But right now, I think the Dolphins are right to take a cautious approach and not tie themselves any longer than they have to Tyreek Hill, especially if you start to say, all right, Jalen Waddle will be our receiver that we extend in the future, and then start looking at what it'll be with him beyond the Tyreek Hill time in Miami.
I already talked about this, but I don't think he even gets 1,700 yards this year. You know that, right? I mean, they added 4 slot receivers on top of Barrios and Craycraft. They added a third running back to stay in the same offense because Jalen Wright can do the things Mostert and Achane does, so they can stay with the same kind of offense. They added They added 2 tight ends actually because the Fortson kid is kind of an athletic guy too because he's a former receiver. They intend on spreading. I mean, they are committed to spreading the ball around. There won't be as many targets for Tyreek Hill. Do you agree or disagree with me on this?
Yeah, just naturally, you have that much talent, that many playmakers on an offense, and it should be spread out more. And then going a step further, now that'll set the table for, well, now all of a sudden there will be a small dip in Tyreek Hill's production from his stat line. So what?
Not his fault. Not his fault, but
right, not his fault, just naturally. But it will be there. Then now you go back to the negotiating table saying, oh, well, you went down from 1799 to maybe he still ends up having a tremendous year and it's 1,400 yards, right. Even 1,500. I mean, those are phenomenal seasons, but just a small dip still should be expected when you're spreading the ball out more. So I think the offense has been set up with the moves that Chris Greer has made to be able to give McDaniel the opportunity to spread it more, not be so dependent on Tyreek Hill, not make it a target share where him and Waddle are just so ultra dominating it, and then it's just a big drop off from who the number 3 option is in the passing game.
Yeah, and that's why I'm convinced this is his last year. With everything that's gone on, and then everybody they have to pay next year, I think it creates a problem because they have to pay Waddle, and because of the commitment you're making now by drafting extra receivers, I think you're trying to develop an offense post Tyreek Hill also. So the following year, you have all your picks. You're able to draft another young receiver that you can bring up in the system.
Yeah. I think Chris Greer also always looks at things not just for the year that he's currently drafting for, but a year in advance. So we also saw that like at left tackle, drafting Patrick Paul. It's not like he needs him to start this year, but injuries happen and maybe he does end up starting. But that is a contingency plan for the future. And Chop Robinson, he can work into some ultra packages, but that could also be a plan for the future. You don't know how Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips are going to come back off their injuries, and hopefully for the Dolphins in 2024, and for those guys who are both great guys, then they do end up like so. But yes, I think receiver is an area where you do need to look ahead into the future, and you're not always going to have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle together. So I think they try to do the same thing, like you mentioned Xavier Howard at the top of the segment, drafting Cam Smith in the second round. He was a first draft choice that year, while you still had X for another season before you maybe kind of knew that you were going to move on that following year with the post-June 1 cut now this offseason. So you only got 20 defensive snaps out of Cam Smith last year in Vic Fangio's system, but that's sort of a look-ahead move, and then now this will be a key development year for him. So, and Waddle will already have that fifth-year option, so you at least have another season to play with there. But the longer you wait, then the more it can turn into like a Christian Wilkins thing, and his price goes up. So depends how quickly you want to make that move, but yes, then a contingency plan in the future could very well be something the Dolphins need to really hone in on. It wasn't this year where they added a veteran there instead of a younger player, but maybe in the next offseason that could be a prime draft positional target.
Yeah, and that's why I think that's what's going to end up happening next year. They'll release him, and then they'll draft another young receiver because they've got so many people to pay, and they've got a window to get out of that deal. So I think if Tyreek is smart, he is a really good soldier this year because he's playing for somebody else, not necessarily the Dolphins or the Chiefs. So you better go out there and be in your best behavior because, you want to attract other people to acquire your services next year. That will be very interesting. What are you looking for in – I mean, there it ain't much in these things. It's more mental reps, all these camps, but what are you looking for in the rookie camp at least?
Yeah, but and to put a bow on that last piece, so you're done with Tyreek Hill. You're saying it's 1 year, no chance, not even if he behaves himself this year and produces it.
Didn't I do that last year with Christian Wilkins? Didn't I do that 3 years ago with X? And I said he's gone in 2 years, and Byron Jones is gone in a year. Didn't I tell people Flo was fired in the middle of a winning streak? I'm telling you, I know he's gone. I know he's gone. Now, I'm not telling you it might happen. It could happen. I'm telling you, just like I told you the other ones. Yeah, I'll let you guys make your own decisions. I'm telling you, they're done with him.
Don't you have a soundbite to play when you do that?
Well, go ahead, Sean. I mean, we've had, that prediction has been out there already. I've been telling people for a while. But go ahead, Sean. Sportstradamus.
The Sportstradamus has spoken.
I love it.
Trust me, he's done. That I can. I'm 1,000% sure. Tyreek Hill is playing his last season with the Miami Dolphins, just like I was sure about all the other four that I would tell everybody about. Because I knew Wilkins last year when he didn't get his contract, he was mother effing everybody in the building. Meanwhile, the press conferences were all smiley and everything is good and everything's kosher and all that. And he was livid behind the scenes, and they weren't giving him that money. And so I knew last year, I told him, hey, he's gone. And when people were talking about, they're going to go, they got to tag him. He's the heart and soul of the defense. I was laughing my ass off. Because that's not how they look at it in there. They don't look at it that way. And so, and in this one, from everything I've gathered, they've kind of, run out of patience with him already at this point. So he's done.
I've even seen you mentioned on Twitter, like, who's the one that's not in all these pictures? F1 Miami this weekend. Hey, I mean, most of the top stars on this team were all gathered together. He wasn't there, so the optics are sort of around the hints, even in that.
Constantly. Constantly. Okay? Tua needed a couple guys. He didn't call Tyreek. He went and called Teron, and he went and called Jalen Ramsey. The Dolphins needed to present a trophy to somebody. Who'd they call? They called Jalen Ramsey. Okay? I mean, just look around, man. They'll take their chances with guys that have some shady stuff, and they'll give you a chance. But notice how it is. They're only going to give you a chance for a certain amount of time. And then when it runs its course, they start Xing you out. And just look at the writing on the wall, the entire brother, go look at the contracts they reworked. They fucking reworked like a punter or a kicker for like $500,000 or like, you remember that? You know what contract I'm talking about? Like when I saw them rework like one of us, a small deal for a little bit of money, I was like, holy shit, they want nothing to do with this guy. Because, you could have at least guaranteed, like if you needed only a couple million, hey, Tyreek, we're going to guarantee $5 million out of yours. Okay, no problem. I'm sure he would have loved it. And they didn't guarantee a penny, bro. A penny. So it's obvious that he is not in their future plans. It's obvious as hell. Dude. He is done. And I hope he and Drew are smart enough to figure that shit out. Because he needs to plan for the future.
And then I wonder if so, then that it's not just something that they have to figure out, but something that hopefully has been communicated too, where at least all sides are transparent, and it's not so much like pick up on these hints like we're doing on the outside. But hopefully, if it is such a thing, that there has been lines of communication open between the two sides.
I would imagine that line has been open between Chris Greer and the agent. And then let the agent handle the stuff. And I don't know if the agents handle the stuff. You know what I'm saying? But clearly, because if Tyreek is talking this silliness on podcast about wanting to be a Dolphin long term and all that, it's like, yo, dude, can you like read? Can you see what's going on? Like they're Xing your ass out of everything. They're loading the offense up because they need to learn how to spread it out and not be so dependent on one guy. Look at what they're doing. Look at everything going on around you, bro. And if you haven't put one and one and one and one and one together, I can't help you. I can't help you. I can't help you. You know what I mean?
Really interesting.
It's obvious.
Yeah. Well, you were asking me about rookie minicamp. we went back to Tyreek Hill.
Because Tyreek, it's funny because I've got Dolphin fans panicking all over. Oh, no, it can't be true. This, that. Oh, you're lying. Oh, you're wrong. And then I just tell them, okay, so was I wrong with Flo? And was I wrong with Wilkins? And was I wrong with that? Was I wrong with X and Byron Jones? Because I told you way ahead when they would get. So why am I going to be wrong about this one? I'm just saying. I mean, just go for it if you want. Okay. If you don't want to believe me because you think whatever, then that's fine, bro.
Yeah. And Tyreek Hill has given them every reason with his off the field behavior, honestly. So, despite how much he produces,
hey, everything that you know,
right? That's right. But rookie minicamp this weekend.
What you don't know,
exactly.
Anyway, rookie minicamp. What's going on?
Yeah. I mean, very limited of what we'll see of drills, but I kind of just want to see, all right, can these guys adapt to a new setting? They're going to be in a professional environment now with a team for the first time. Do they look lost? Do they understand their assignment, understand where they're going, what the coaches want to see? And then maybe just little things in players' games. Like last year, we were able to see that Devon Achan's speed, his quickness, just from watching him a few drills. And he said, okay, yeah, it's there. We knew it from the 40 time and his highlights.
That shit did stand out in practice.
Yeah, right. So you want to see those things, yeah. The Chop Robinson twitch, off the line of scrimmage and his motor, depending on what drills you get to see there. And Patrick Paul, if he's already having some of those developmental strides where or what exactly he needs to develop in that hand placement, everything else technique wise that you want to see from him. And just maybe it's the first time maybe some of these guys I'm going to see them in person. So Patrick Paul, his size, like that 6'7", those long arms. I want to see that for myself. If I shake his hand, do his hands just like eat mine up because he's just like that large of a human. Small things like that, and then just how if they behave themselves as professional. So they're going to be in a professional environment and speaking to the media. So just how they sort of handle just being in an NFL facility and handling that.
Let me ask you an unfair question because you may not know, and so it's unfair to you. In a rookie mini camp like this one, I know Tua won't be there. Mike White won't be there. Obviously, the Gavin Hardison kid, because I'm reading his name now. Will they have a second quarterback? Will Skyler or one of the veterans be there? Or will they bring another invited guy that we don't know about that's not on the roster? Because I can see Gavin Hardison. Will there be a second arm for guys out there? That's, again, a really unfair question.
No.
Most of us don't know the answer.
Yeah, I mean, based on precedent of the previous rookie mini camps I've covered, then they would just have another invite quarterback. So actually, last year I remember who it was. It was Henry Colombi. He was a local player. He finished his career at Chaminade Madonna. He was at university school. I actually covered him in high school, and he was at 3 different colleges. One of them being Utah State. He was actually Jordan Love's teammate over there. He was his backup there. So he was a local kid that then also got a rookie mini camp invite, and it was cool because I hadn't seen him since he was in high school. He actually came over to where I was when we were getting ready for some of the interviews with the undrafted guys, and then he was just there as an invite, but came over, said hello to me. So they'll bring another arm, maybe another guy that didn't get drafted, another rookie mini camp invite, who maybe has also gotten an invitation to another camp with another team, and maybe it's a local guy too. It could just as easily be that. Give a local kid an experience of being with the team he grew up watching, and he has a couple days there.
I mean, really, we won't get anything until you really put on pads a couple months from now. But I will say over the next couple of months, and into especially when training camp starts, Malik Washington and Muhammad, obviously Chop Robinson we're all going to be focused on him, but Malik Washington and Muhammad Kamara, those are the two guys that I'm really intrigued with, bro. I'm dying to see those guys. When we get to training camp, I can't wait to see those young men, see what they got, man, because those guys intrigue me a lot out of the draft.
Yeah, because those were a couple of guys that went a little later than expected. So the Dolphins really got good value in them. So those athletic traits from North America.
We think, we're hoping.
Oh, yeah. Right. Maybe it was all those other teams that were correct, but yeah.
Yeah, but I don't sneeze at a guy that has 30.5 sacks and 45 tackles.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. That I don't overlook shit like that. That you got something in you, bro. There's a fire in you that's the kind of shit you can't teach with Muhammad Kamara. So I'm kind of impressed with that. All right, what do you got going on in the Sentinel so folks can check you out?
Yeah, actually, right about now we're about to get some interviews with a couple players. I think I'd have to check the email again. I think it was Raheem Mostert and David Long, if I'm not mistaken. So, checking on a couple guys off-season workouts.
All right, good stuff there. By the way, did you see the Brady roast?
Oh, I'm not done with it. I got like another hour left. So it's been really good. They push the limits with some of those jokes, and I love it.
Gronk's thing was his homophobe. I don't know. Have you gotten to Gronk yet?
Oh, wait, Gronk actually up there.
You haven't gotten to it?
Okay, no. So that would be in the last hour, right?
It's probably in the last hour. Yeah, he went a little way over homophobic. I mean, like really, really bad. But Giselle is pissed now from all the divorce jokes.
Right, I've seen the headlines.
Hernandez's wife is pissed because of all the killer jokes. So it's like it's
when you're Aaron Hernandez's wife, no, your kids can't look at him as a hero. You said hero, no.
Hero, seriously.
Yeah, no.
Sweetheart, you're not doing a good job of describing your daughter, her father. Okay, you may not want to, you don't want your daughter walking around saying my daddy's a hero, and then everybody's gonna say no, your daddy's a killer.
Yeah.
I think you may want to teach your daughter like honesty and the truth and stuff like that. As bad as it is, but maybe but yeah. I mean, what did you expect? But the Giselle ones were. Boy, that was a trip. All right, David, appreciate you as always, my brother. We will catch up later on in the week.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Follow him on Twitter at David Furones _. Hour number 3 is next.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.